Yes, good afternoon, Savva here from Footballheritagetv. Don't worry, I'm in the car, but I am not driving before anyone says anything. Today's video, I want to talk about what Ange Postecoglou said in his press conference in the last 24 hours, where he has used the phrase, and we've got to be careful when we talk about phrases that are used. He has said, nothing magical will happen in the January window. Now this of course was off the back of him being asked by reporters, what do you need to do in January? Do you know what you need? Is it all in place? And Ange Postecoglou said, nothing magical will happen in January. Now the choice of words is interesting, magical. What does he mean by that? Does he mean that no big signings will happen? No Jean-Claire Tadibos? No Santiago Jimenez's? Or does he mean that no business will be able to be done? A Jota on a loan, possibly, because it doesn't cost any money. Maybe a Lloyd Kelly, who has got 6 months left on his contract. What do you think he meant by that? Also, what does that mean for Tottenham? If we're going to talk in these circumstances where we want to win leagues, we want to win cups, we want to build top squads, and then the manager's saying that nothing magical will happen. It's an interesting one, because for me, I don't normally read too much into this type of word, and I think to myself, well, he just means don't expect too much. So is that the message that's coming out of the manager's press conference? Is it to all of us Spurs fans, as if to say, come on, don't expect too much, it's January, not a lot happens in January? Or is he just trying to whet our appetite? Do they know what signings are going to be coming in already? Because this feels very different. The vibes in the last 24 hours, 48 hours from Ange have gone from, we know what we need, we want to move early in the window, to it's difficult in January, I'm not sure what we'll be able to do, to don't expect anything magical. Now the cynic in me would say, hang on, we've been here before. Hang on, we've been here about 50 windows before. Is this just a way of saying that Daniel Levy hasn't provided a big enough budget for the January transfer window? Now, transfer windows are interesting, especially when you support Tottenham, because we all think something great's going to happen. We all start talking about these brilliant targets that we want to bring in, these lavish goal scorers, brilliant ball playing centre-halves, tough tackling, ball-winning midfielders. And then our experience is that the actual outcome of those windows is normally the opposite. It's normally the cheap one. Even if you look to the summer transfer window, yes, big money, you could say, I would say relatively big money was spent on James Maddison. 40 million, relatively big for Spurs, not for other clubs. Mickey van der Ven, what was he, 42, 44, whatever he was, relatively big money. Brennan Johnson, relatively big money. But when we look back to that window, who could you say is a resounding success so far? Who has come into that team and made us better immediately? Vicario, Maddison and van der Ven. The rest for me was quite underwhelming. Kulusevski being the anomaly because he was already here. Brennan Johnson for me, not a £50 million player at all. Solomon is a bit part player. Yes, he's been injured, but very much a bit part player. Valise definitely falls into that bracket of one for the future. Ashley Phillips definitely falls into the bracket for one for the future. And you ask yourself, did we do what we needed to do? Did the signing of Vicario, Maddison and van der Ven paper over what was probably a very ordinary window? But because it was better than we were used to, did we go overboard on it? Now, the cynic in me, and forgive me, too many years of supporting Tottenham Hotspur under this regime, thinks that we'll go cheap this window. Thinks that we'll go for a Lloyd Kelly because he's got 6 months left. Thinks that we'll go for Jota because he's on loan. The little kid in me that thinks, is this the window that I know is never coming, but is this the window? That person in me thinks we could get Tadibo and Jimenez and Gallagher. But I know it's not happening. That's just the little kid in me wanting to scream and shout for that to come out. So let me know. I'm always interested to know, what do fans think? You've got the fans that are saying we need 3 or 4 players, and they're listing whenever I do a show, they're listing, Sav, we need to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will be a 10 out of 10 window. You got the people saying, well, it's January. Tough to do stuff in January. But one thing is for sure, if the last 9 games we've played has taught us anything, is that we might have a good 11, but we do not have a good squad. And to be able to rectify that, to be able to compete, to be able to go into games with more confidence when we've got suspensions and injuries, Tottenham Hotspur need to start acting like a big club in the transfer window. It's all well and good the manager talking about what we can do and where we want to be. It's all well and good the fans believing and dreaming that this is new, this is different. It's different this time. This manager's different. These signings are different. If that's the case, we've got to show it every transfer window. And for me, that is why, come January the 1st, I want to see that news. I want to see the news that Jean-Claire Todibo is on his way to Tottenham Hotspur's training ground for a medical. I want to see that Spurs are putting in bids. What we don't want to see, surely, is what we've seen the last few years, where we waited till the last day in January for Kulusevski and Bentancur, where we waited till the last very minute of the window to bring in Pedro Porro on loan and Dan Juma on loan. Surely we have to go out and attack this market like a big club. Are we a big club? Let me know your feelings. Let me know as well. We've talked lots about this, but now it's real. The window opens in 3 days' time. Monday morning, this transfer window opens on the 1st of January, and Tottenham, for me, I think if we don't want to slip away, if we want to keep on the coattails of the bigger boys, the bigger clubs, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, if we want to compete with the likes of Aston Villa, West Ham and Newcastle and Man United and Brighton for that 4th spot, we need to do some business. So who do you want? Who's the centre halves that you think we need? I've chucked out many options that they've poo-pooed them. Tarkowski, he's not good enough. Lewis Dunk's not good enough. This player's not good enough. Tosin Adarabioyo, are we backing for him? Is he a good option? Is he the guy that can lead you to glory? Is it a stopgap? Todibo, is it achievable? Conor Gallagher maybe in midfield if Højbjerg goes? Let me know. Can we buy a Tony or a Jimenez? I don't think we can. Let me rephrase that. I don't think we will. I think we certainly can. We're a very rich football club. The last thing I will say on this transfer discussion is this. Matt Law has come out today and it's all started, hasn't it? It's the Tottenham want to do business this window, but it's very dependent on players leaving. Didn't we have this in the summer? Surely, even if those players you don't want at the club can't be sold, surely you suck it up. Surely you suck it up. You pay the extra transfer fee, you pay the extra salaries, and you register the new players and unregister the old players. Or deregister. I never know whether it's deregister or unregister. Never mind. So let me know in the chat, what do you think? What are we going to do? Do we need to temper our expectations? Is that what Ange is getting us? Am I reading too much into this and this is just a word he's used? The word magical doesn't really mean anything. Is Matt Law right? Do we have to sell Lloris, Eric Dyer, Højbjerg, Brian Hill? Do we have to sell all these players? Any other surprise outgoings? Let me know. But for me, I've seen this before. I feel that I know how this ends, and I just for once want to be shocked by Tottenham in a transfer window. Let me know if you think it will happen. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you for all the generous subscribers in the last week or so. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting Football Heritage TV. We'll be back tomorrow for a show in the afternoon, and then on Sunday we'll have a live watch along at 1 o'clock for Tottenham Hotspur at home to Bournemouth. So please join me then. Hope you and your families had a great Christmas, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone, and as always, come on, you Spurs.